I wanted to take a little extra time to work with you because I know you want to be you want to be going as fast as possible, and I just want you to understand the basics first, and so you don't get totally overwhelmed. Because when we start off in the morning, yeah, the opening, we're watching a whole bunch of stuff, and so there's certain things that you're going to want to do. First of all, to understand what we're doing, and first of all, go through the actionable signals in the course. Right, a lot to absorb. Yeah, I understand that, but the thing is it's like it's really cut and dry. And when you go down to the scenarios, I want you to be able to see that immediately. Right. So here, if we just start off by looking at the SPY. So whenever you look at anything, whenever you pull up anything, I want you to always pull up a monthly, weekly, daily, and 60 at least, whatever we're looking at, right? And that's going to give you the general idea of what we're looking at. So if we look at the SPY, what do we see here? We see a 2. Took out one side of the range, right? So the scenarios can only be inside one side or both sides. And so at this point, we're at 2. And because this was a 2 that was green and followed by the 2 that's red, that's a 2-2 reversal. All right? And so as long as we're below this, 267.40, I want you to be able to see that that's a 2-2 reversal on the monthly. All right? I also want you to see that this is red. All right? If we go to the week, I'm right here. Right? So I want you to see that that's red because that's time frame continuity. If we go to the week, now a little bit different of a story. All right, we did that two down week last week, but here we're inside week and we're green, so that means we're in conflict. But I want you to be able to see that because you saw during the day I'm trying to avoid that in stocks if we can. Right, a long way to go. And so what that means is that anytime we have a shorter term change in time frame continuity, we can expect things to reverse. Right? And so we were fortunate because that range is so huge today that we did get the inside 60, the up, and then on the final flip they let them have it and brought them in. Right? Understanding that the flip is very important. Right, and that's why the bottom of the hour is very important, and we recalibrate the 30s at the top too. But that bottom of the hour is our benchmark for the 60, right? Because the 60 is always in control, and when you get through the course, there's control and there's change. Who's in control of the price? Well, the direction of the 60 is the immediate direction. That's what's happening right now. The question is how much strength is that going to have? Right? You're battling the month. You're a brand new week. You're an inside week, right? And so because we've had such a huge range and more volatility, we can shrink that down. Last week we were shrinking it down to where our 60 was basically our monthly because there's so much volatility. The less volatility, the more we want to have everything lined up. All right, but I want you to be able to see that right away. So when you pull it up, right, I want you to have at least those 4 up and go, what do I see? I see 2-2 reversal red. I see inside that scenario 1 green. I see hammer, day up, and green, 2-2 reversal off the lows. I see inside 60 up, that's 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, right? Thank you. Yeah, I mean it's something to get into your head first. But because it's so basic, you just have to think in these terms, and that's why I try to focus on that and say just see it, because unlike anything else, it plays out on everything all the time, every day, right? And so that's why we want to start. We're looking at stuff like log me in, stuff that had a chance, or at least partially during the day, going full time frame kind of the upside, green, although doji now. Green week and trying to take out the hammer, green day, all that kind of stuff. So when you pull that stuff up, you'll have an idea of which are the ones that we want to go after, right? So as I'm going around and I'm trying to figure it out, right, whenever you look at something, pull that up. What do you see? right? Good, good. Just pull that up immediately, because then at least once you start seeing things this way, that that then my job gets a little easier, and so does yours, because you don't have to always ask and ask and ask and ask. One of the great things I was pointing out today, and I said in the webinar, and what some of the new people you're seeing, is how much easier it is to communicate with each other because we all think the exact same way. Right now, it doesn't mean we're all going to trade the same stocks. Doesn't mean we're all going to trade the same size and stuff like that. But in terms of what the basic criteria of what we do is all the same, that really helps, right? As opposed to, I don't know, is it a bottom, double bottom thing, and all that kind of stuff. I pointed that out. It's really important that we're all looking at things and that way. So it makes it easier for me, because at that point, I can be watching other relationships that might be important to it, and saying that if you wanted to trade whatever it may be, is there something that I can tell you about the sector, or is there something else that might be better, that's similar to it, all that kind of stuff that I can continue to do. So I want you to be able to do that first, right? See things in terms of time frame continuity and the scenarios. And so we still use actionable signals, so we can still say hammer. It's a 2-2 hammer, right? So it means 3-2-2 hammer, right? Because hammer's still an actionable signal, so we can still use that, and we prefer that, but we don't need it anymore because the scenarios still tell us what's going on, right? So just be able to see that basic stuff, because the triangles will get a little bit more challenging. Over time, you'll see them, because I'm going to draw them a million times for you. And people always want, how do I draw them? How do I draw them? How do I draw them? Basically, you just want to know if you're going in any higher high or any lower low. They're going to be all over the place. And so that's why I will say exhaustion risk. Whenever we go into new highs of anything or new lows, that's when you're at exhaustion risk, because the people on the wrong side have nothing to gauge against, right? And so what that means is we're at risk of a crowded trade. That's why when something goes into new highs, people say wait for a pullback, because otherwise we just buy everything going to the highs and they'd never stop, right? But at that point, that's the caveat of full time frame continuity, where if you're only looking at green, but you're going into the highs, you're at risk of crowding the trade. If everybody's always buying, eventually everybody's long, right? And that's when you get the reversals off the highs and the triangles back and forth, right? So here, yay, everybody loves them. So this thing's going to the moon, it's never coming back. We're all long. Peak, stop them all out. Okay, we can go back up now, right? Stuff like that. So first things first, get those actionable signal scenarios in your head and time frame continuity in your head. Then, and this is where you can help me too. I know people trade a lot of different things, and sometimes I take for granted that you know every stock and their symbol and what group they're in. What's going to be helpful is the weekend video, because I go through in the same order of, pretty much the same order of the majors, broader averages, and stocks by group, so you can get to hang on to that. What some people will do is, in the weekend video, is write down the time that I talk about a certain sector, so you can go back to it if you need to during the week, right? And then you can always ask me, but there's a lot of good information there. Now, it's a lot of information, I understand that. The good part about it is, if you have notes on it, we've got a pretty good idea usually where we want to be, right? But oftentimes we can call an audible and say, hey, look, if something goes inside day on a Monday, that sector might now kick into play where we weren't expecting it before. And for some people, it's a lot of work. It's no more work than I do, but it's an hour long, and but that really helps you get a good blueprint of what's going on in the market. Right, so when we come in Monday morning, and it was like today, a lot of brand new people have been like, all gung-ho, we're all going to just go in there and start kicking ass, right? Well, Monday morning is hard because we're trying to figure out, we have 3 of the 4 major time frames start over, right? And so on a day like today, doesn't mean we don't trade. We want to have as much information as possible, and that's why we prefer to trade stocks, because we have so much information. We've got broader average, we've got sector, we've got subsector, then we've got the actual stock itself. That's a lot of good information. right? And so similarly, as the day and the week go on, we gain more information because there's a sequence. First of all, on any given Monday, the weekly and the daily bar are the same bar, right? So on the second day, the daily and the 60 are the same in the first hour, but the second hour on Tuesday, we uncouple, which means we have 4 separate openings. Now we can identify 4 participation groups by time and price. Makes our job a little easier, right? A lot better. So when we come in on Monday morning, I know it's, get fired up and all that kind of stuff. You'll see some of us pull back for a while and make sure we got something going here, because another way that we use time frame continuity is as we get to the middle of the day, if something's still an inside day and not doing anything, I don't want nothing to do with it, right? So when we get to Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, if something's still inside week, I don't want anything to do with it. We're going after the big red bars and the big green bars. That's what we want, right? And so the monthly will show us that too. And so just like the week starts off with those similar bars, as we go through any given month or quarter or week, right, it's a matter of sequence of what we're looking for and why we're looking for it. So today, on a Monday, when all the 3 time frames start over, or let's say it's the beginning of the month, we don't have a direction for the month, as you can see for SPY, everything changed come February, right? Everything changed comes February. It's like everything's fine, is it? So what will occur is always knowing the sequence. So on a Monday like today, all the inside days, they haven't picked a direction yet, right? And so that's why when you have turnaround Tuesday, if they start crushing them again tomorrow, we're going after all those inside days because they weren't strong enough to take out, oops, this is going to lock up on me for a second, so I can talk over it. They weren't strong enough to go into the highs when the S&P's up 50 handles, right? So either they're going to reconfirm by those inside days now breaking to the upside to reconfirm what happened today or negate it. And that's going to happen as a sequence every day. The first hour and then the second hour. And that's going to happen on the month. The first week, then the second week. Everything reconfirms or negates. So understanding why we're walking through a sequence is important. Also, when it comes to time frame continuity, and we're looking at when the S&P was going higher. So sorry, this locks up for me when I hit that. So when things were going higher today with full-time, we didn't have full time frame continuity because we had the monthly still red, but was in control to the upside. We can still look for things that have full time frame continuity to the downside. And the reason being is that we're identifying natural sellers, right? There has to be sellers in there. If the market's going up and it's going down, or the whole sector's going up and it's down on all time frames, there's natural sellers in there. So that's definitely where we want to be. So you can have the worksheet has got a lot of stuff on it, the Excel spreadsheet. And so the way that we use that is there may be price stocks, like some people aren't going to trade Priceline and Google and all that kind of stuff. I know that. But what it is a blueprint of the market. And so what we're looking for is concentrations of sectors and stocks and where they are, because those are the potential actionable signals, or they're the ones in force and tell us where to go. So just like because of last week's volatility, we got a lot blown out. Like on a day like today, whenever the 60s go inside, so here SMH goes inside, right? We know we're looking at LRCX, NVIDIA, AMAT, and all that kind of stuff. All those semis, and LRCX worked out real well, right? LRCX went inside and up twice on the 60 here, 170.29, 171.31, and goes out and then chops up at the end. But it should be in one of the portals if anybody can help out with that. Okay, good question. If February is red, does it mean we only look for shorts even though the day may be bullish? No, it does not mean that, because who is in control is always important, right? So the 60 is always in control. The immediate 60 is a matter of how much power it's going to have, right? So if the 60 and the daily are green, right? Yeah, we're going long and we're looking for longs, right? Because as of right now, this thing's inside and up on the 60 and it's green on the day. Because if the month is going to change to green, that's what's going to happen first, right? And that's one of the things about having 3/4 time frame continuity, everything but the 60, right? We know that that 60 mostly is profit taking counter, and we're waiting for that flip like nobody's business for that thing to kick back into full time frame continuity. And especially like in a lower VIX environment like we've had, we would really want needed full time frame continuity. When you have volatility like this, the volatility, the time frame continuity shrinks, where that 60 has a lot of power. Because I mean, if you look at this, and it doesn't look like much on the chart. This took out 264.13, and went out 265.92, right? And if we go back on the daily, like we were lucky to get that during a whole day, for forever, right? And it did it in an hour, right? Everybody sound okay? It did it in an hour. And so that's why we can shrink that time frame continuity down, because we're seeing as much volatility in an hour that we used to see an entire day, if not a week. If that makes sense. Good. Okay. There's a worksheet. Thank you. Why bother trading smaller time frames? Because that'll reconfirm the 60. And we want to see how much power that 60 has. Right? We're gauging how much power that has. Does it have an actual signal, or is it just green? Is it just a 2-2, or is it 1-2? Right? And some people, Lawrence, they will choose to just kick back on the 60s. Yeah, you don't have to jump all over like a madman. You can take the 60s. That's one of the great things about this. You can be as busy or as passive as you want. All right? And some people will just watch. Like, so going through the sequence again, you start with the weekend video, come in Monday morning, all right? And we have only monthlies that we know to be true in force, right? And then the potential of the 60s, dailies, and weeklies to kick in. And that's where I'll start to figure it out, right? And also in the morning, if we want to try and narrow it down, not just in the morning, but always for everybody, to what exactly you're going to do. Because if you try and do it all, you're going to go nuts. You're going to go nuts. And that's okay, because if you just stay on your plan and you're consistent, you can branch out forever. You can grow as big as you want, right? And so then, like today, like CDK, we didn't have much of a gap or less. But CDK, gaps up, holds its gap, and gets inside in the 30, and the 30, and then goes here, outside 30, down, takes that out by a penny, and comes back up. You just go into the 60, you go here, and just buy it here and just kick back, right? Stuff like that. So some people will be able to do that. Previous 60 from the day before matter then? Yes. Yes, if we close inside 60, we want to know that. It closed at equilibrium. Definitely. Because oftentimes on the opening, what you'll see is that instantaneous 2-3 off of those. And so another thing, too, Lawrence, is knowing that big picture also helps you break it into where we want to be fighting, too. Right? And let's see. Yes. Well, 60 is going to have, more participants than the lesser ones. That's all. We're trying to see how all the participants are positioned. And so when the 60 squares off, especially in the futures, that's why I do this, right? That's why that's important. You're coming into the flip, you formed an equilibrium in the futures. Somebody's got to try and take that price, right? Somebody's going to at least throw a punch eventually. Right? It's a matter of how much power it has. So that's going to be a matter of time frame continuity. It's also going to be a matter of positioning in the triangles. So with SPY, we know we have a 60 triangle like this. Higher high, lower low. Higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low. And then we gap back up into here. Right? Now whether we're going to have the power to make it all the way back up here or be a lower level triangle, we don't know. And so, yeah, so on execution. No, I don't. But I use the SPY as the proxy and the Qs for the proxy, and then you can use both of those. And I want to be very clear about that, how we do that. So I don't want to get to execute. I'm going to get to everybody. So because I talk about this too, like IBB. It's like IBB. Whenever that signals or something, you can go to Labu, right, and use that Labu for the more power. Are you disadvantaged by not being able to see it, have the 60 at the bottom of the hour? A little bit, but like I said, if you train your mind to see the 30s as a 60, you can do it. Most importantly, just be aware of it because we can look for different things. Like you can look for an inside 5 on the bottom of the hour because what that does, an actionable signal, a 15 or a 5 or something right at the bottom of the hour that kicks in, you know that you have intraday time frame continuity and an actionable signal because you have the actionable signal and the 60 direction. Yeah, I'm getting there, Raj. I'm getting there, sir. I'm just trying to figure this out. I'll get it. I'll see you. If I do forget, definitely come back. 65 minutes is not okay because, and hi, Jacqueline, 65 minutes is not okay because it's not uniform. The bottom of the hour matters because it represents the opening hour. It's also liquidity events like the European closes at the bottom of the hour, right? Also, the oil number, natty gas number comes out bottom of the hour. Oil closes at the bottom of the hour. All that kind of stuff. Okay. So, ideally, what we want to do when executing, ideally, we want to have it to where we have enough information that we have a 1 cent stop as soon as we get in there. It should just go. Rev strats definitely should just go, and that's 1 cent. That should just, without question, right? The more information we have, the more you can loosen it up. And by that, what I mean is, if we go to like the SPY break here, right? SPY breaks here. First of all, on the 60, that's why we want to look at the smaller term time frames, right? Because it can help tighten our stop. Do we see a Rev Strat 5 or an inside 3 that's going to break the 60, right? And we can stop it off that tighter bar. So what I usually say 1 cent because I like to keep it that tight. But what you can do, the more information you have, is go to the lows of the bar that breaks this here, right? And in this case, that's going to be too far for us. So what you can do is you can shrink it down and say the bar that breaks the inside 60, the 1 or the 3 or the 5 minute low right as soon as it does it, just to make sure it goes. Make sense? Norel on the 2, it's got to go. It's got to go. That's going to be a 1 center. If you're just going straight 2-2, it's got to go. And the reason because that we do that is because as soon as it ticks back down, it's a potential 3. And that's when you're going to get wrecked. Do you re-enter? Yes. If you have reason to believe that we want to be in there, do battle. Yes. Yes. Do battle. If we have every reason to believe it's going to go, because you'll see that. Because one of the things you do create by taking the offer is potential a smaller triangle, because you made a higher high. Anytime you make a higher high or lower low, you're at risk of retracement. That's just how it works. And so what you'll see over time is don't just start gunning this stuff right away. don't just start gunning like doing battle right away. I want you to understand where to do that. Because if you go after every inside bar, you're going to get killed. Right? And that's why I always say, check with me. Right? Never, even when I'm going blah, 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 during the day, never think I'm too busy to run something by me. Because I want you to be able to see where these things occur within the broadening formation series. That matters. If you go grabbing every inside bar, you can get killed. Ask the dude. You get killed. All right? And that's why we like combinations. And so the problem we have this week is we got a bunch of inside weeks. Killed. All right. We've got a lot of inside weeks. That's an issue. Right? Small losses for big gainers, because we know if I put you in the right spot and that when they go, they really go. Like when we were coming back ripping through this triangle here, and you see this 3, and this works. It's like all we looked at is this stuff. First we wanted to come take them out. We did. But then as long as these kept 2ing, then we knew we were coming after this stuff in here. Right? And so if it gets a little choppy when you get down here, who cares if you're in up here? Let them chop the crap out of each other. I don't care. And then you get the 2 continuation right here, and then puke. Which took them all out. See that? So when this went 2-2 right here, and like I said, if you just do battle, stay in there, and then here we know we're coming after that stuff. And so the more that I show this to you, the more it's going to make sense. When we prefer ripping back through ranges, previous ranges, because we know, and the horizontal line boys are going to be in there somewhere. Here's a level. Here's a level. Not anymore. The worksheet. Yeah, I actually never look at it, which Hayes always yells at me because I'm kind of the human worksheet. But basically, one of the things some people will choose to do is not just trade stocks or futures or whatever it may be, trade setups, right? Because stuff like rev strats, they should just go, right? When I talk about the 1 center, rev strat should just go, especially if it kicks it back into full time frame continuity. Because rev strat in and of itself, right, the 2 bar is going to be a triangle. They already triangled one side, and then they're going to come ripping right back through, right? So if we look at like Nectar, I think today, I don't know how far it went, but didn't completely meet the objective. But what we know here, when you see something like this, inside bar 1, 2 breaks down and stops these guys and them out, and then you come ripping back through here, we're going after them, and maybe them, and maybe them, right? But definitely going to take these guys out, right? Because they threw a punch. I think ADS was also in the video. Inside bar hammer, and take it right there. It is gapped a little bit, but stuff like that. So, well, and as I was saying before, your familiarity with what stocks are what and are related to who is important about how you read that too. So, are we fairly clear so far, everybody? Just to make sure we're up to speed. I'm not getting behind in questions and. Okay, good. Good. Considering that we're working with a 390-minute cycle, is it okay to look at the 10-minute, 3-minute one? Oh yeah, you can look at anything. It's, put it this way, you can get as nuts as you want with this, right? Because you could have a 30-minute that starts 15 after the hour that goes to 45 minutes, right? The reason you could do that because it's still a half an hour participation group. All we're trying to do is identify participation groups by price and time, which that still does. So yeah, you can definitely do that. The 10-minute rev stratter and the 3, you can go as nuts as you want because it's all the same. Price action is always the same. Good idea to get from, yeah, 1 or 2 setups, yeah, be a rev stratter. You go after that to rev strat because it should just go. How would I go about entering over this hammer because it gapped up and came in? So there's a few ways you could do it. If you take a look at how did it open exactly. So what you can do is when it opened and dumps down here, you can go after it as soon as it goes back green. All right. You could wait for the inside 60. Let's go back to the opening and see how nutty it was, what it really looked like. Went inside, okay, it opened, goes inside, and just kind of walked up, right? And so when you see something like that grinding, right, that's when we really want to come in and go off the shorter term stuff, right? Even shorter, maybe shorter term than this, because this was staying inside. And so here's what I mean by that. Well, here's the importance of that, because when something's grinding slowly, right, in a tight range, and you get too used to something measured move style where it's just going to go blasting into the highs, it's going up. It's going up slowly. So what that means is we want to try and come off the lows, right? because since we know that things trade in triangles, we can look for things coming off and reclaiming. And by that I mean something like this. It goes down, it goes up, it goes down, 2-2 reversal here. And you can see even that pops back down on you. Down here, 1, 2, 2, reversal right there, hammer. So this was not an easy one to get into, right? But that's how you're going to want to do it, because if you keep going into the highs, it's going to keep coming back down on you. But you got here, and this is not really an ideal 5-minute chart to be trading, but 2, 2, 2 reversal right here. So there's ways in there. It's a matter of how much ninja you are. Right. And so when you hear me say triangle them out, that means that there's an opportunity there, that they're taking care of business because they're going to triangle them out eventually. Right. Some things are really straight gunners to the upside, and that's where you're going to look for immediate inside and up measured move, stuff like that. And I don't expect you to understand that all right now. Oh, Glenn, I walked everybody through that. I walked that apple triangle, and everybody who was there with me today, I called that tick when we were in here. I was like, gee, I wonder where it's gone. Right here, 103.88. And I was like, give me 89. So here's your triangle right in here. This is the 60 triangle we saw walking up all day. So we want to see how it plays out. Does it get out of there or does it drop back in? Limit orders, I'd prefer that you go to the market because we don't want to get hit on a bid. We want to take the offer. We're the guys throwing the punch. So as soon as that thing goes offered above the rev strat, we're taking it because we're expecting stops to be there. We throw the punch because that first punch that we throw triggers the beginning of the rev strat, which means we're using those guys to trigger the other guys, right? So on the nectar or whatever, what have you, as soon as that thing comes through here, anybody who's short against this high, we want to trigger them to help trigger them, right? We're going to use these guys to trigger them. That's what we want to do. That's the whole idea of all of this, is triggering what's guys down the road. Hammer counter shooter. What that means is it's a shorter term triangling them out, because what that does is hammer counter shooter, or shooter counters hammers. We have some here. What that means is PSX, not a good one. What do we have? Maybe HFC is a little better. You get the idea. So what that means is they blow it out the longs right here. They blow it out the longs. There you go. Then short's got to cover, blow them out, and now we can resume going back down. Blow them out, blow them out. Nobody wants to touch this thing. Sinking ship. Because ain't nobody short after it went from here to there. They took those guys. They're gone. Right? Yeah. So, also, when I talk about the sequence of how we do things too, when I make the video at night after the close, you want to watch that again the next night after the close. What did we talk about and what happened? Not everything's going to work out, but you're going to see when they do, what you could have done, right? And go back and look at the 60, 30, 15s, 5s, because you're going to see the rev strats and the insides and the outsides and all that stuff. See what we talked about and what we did. It helps you learn a lot by doing that. And probably watching the video again in the morning. It's not that long. Is a 2-bar rev strat more powerful than a 1-bar rev strat? Not necessarily. 1 bar can mean they just totally overwhelmed them and didn't wait. The good thing about the 2-bar rev strat is that we know that there's more levels to take out, right? We still got to take out the hammer and the inside and the mother, right? And the 1 bar, it's already done that, right? It already wiped them out. But that also may mean that it's so powerful that it keeps going. Yep, we're talking about the list. Hayes is the one who does the list for us, so you can always talk to him during the day. Stop by his house. I'll give you his address and his phone number later. uh, see the Almond Brothers, right? We'll go see the Almond Brothers and talk about lists. So, because as we go through the week, right, the sequence is important. Tuesday, reconfirm the Mondays, right, and we'll watch the videos. And then on Tuesday night, we know that we have an oil number coming out on Wednesday, right? And so we'll assess whether the energy stocks should do anything off of that, right? Or crude itself, because crude last week did inside week and down, right? Is inside week and down and went Momo shooter down here on the number. The week and down combo, the 1-2. And then we have Natty on Thursday, and then if we have earnings. But as I said, some people will choose to watch the gappers. And so what I do is I post that, and I come in before the opening, and I go through that gap list to point out what we're looking for as far as or do we have pivots to take out? Is it kicking into an actionable signal? Is it changing that? Is it changing continuity? What is this gap exactly doing? And you'll hear me say, they've got these guys to go after, right? Or this or whatnot. So, and so like I said, when I say that when something's still inside, we can expect reversals. If you go to UTEX today, it appeared to gap down, but it still stayed inside day, right? So could we expect that to reverse back up? Yeah. Inside, down, and up, is it valid entry? Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's how we get in on that thing as soon as they take that stuff. That's exactly it. Because that goes into a 2. That's 1, 2. And as soon as you got a 2, 2 means execution. It just was the most volatile day of the week to trade. Yeah, it depends on what's going on. It depends on what's going on. We prefer it to be Friday, cheapo option day. Right. And we used to call it premium burn Thursday. So Thursday used to be really slow. But it all depends on what's going on. And so what you'll see is that we have a pretty good idea which ones are going to be dead. Like, today it was up 500, but it felt like it was dead because when you blow out a lot of actionable signals, right, and they have to start forming over again. So what you'll see during a period of volatility, like you just saw, that now we got to form inside weeks, right? So first, after last week's Rock'em Sock'em robots, Rock'em Sock'em robots were all over the place. So what you'll see after a period like that, now we got to reset. Now we're going to go inside week and we'll find out what's up. Now that's a big range. Right, but based on the amount of actionable signals that are in force and or are exhausted and blown out, that gives us a pretty good idea if it's going to be volatile or not. Because as we come into Friday, we want to be looking at cheapo options, right? And Wednesday, you can trade SPY options on Wednesdays, right? Because they're cheap, because they expire. As well as when you get a little more advanced, depending on who you are, we want to also use these things to create synthetics around the strikes, because on a Friday, if you are trading options or you're trading the common, and we get a nice move from 1 to 2 or 3 strikes away, you don't want to just sell that because you want to lock it in with the options because it'll create a synthetic call on the upside, which means if you go 2 or 3 strikes up and it's later in the day, I don't mind giving back a few cents or 20 cents or whatever to protect myself and lock in that gain, because what happens is then I have all of the upside to go. If this thing really keeps going, I'm still in, as opposed to taking profits. So there's that too. That could be a little down the road. Like for tonight, I just wanted to touch base with everybody and make sure you can get the basics of it as soon as possible. And I wanted you guys to know too that I'm always here for you. All right. When I saw a bunch of people piling in today, the first thing I said, I was like, I got to have a night session because I don't want to have a bunch of people lost and wait until Thursday. And we're going to do this again on Thursday, just so you know. I'm not blowing that off either. You'll give up on me way before I give up on you. and I don't think we're going to give up on either. So, How come that noon trades this inside? How about that? No one trades this inside day breakouts. They just wait for stop losses to be taken out by us. You ever heard anybody talk about stuff like this on CNBC? Or are they looking at their squiggly moving averages or whatever they believe? Right? They don't understand the importance of the price equilibrium. Or, and also, it's not just that, because there is time frame continuity. There is a bunch of other things. There's where is it lying within, longer term schemes. So, like I said, if you take every inside bar, you get killed. And that's why I'll try and as many times as I can show you all the combinations as they play out, right? Why would we expect certain things to go and why not? So today, one of the good things is like when you look at everything, you might say, I'm not going to touch LRCX because of the monthly, right? Because the monthly is the 2 with shooter, 2 down, revert below this, right? But you got a new week and you got a big enough range. Even though it's inside week, this is a pretty 20, 30 block range is still big enough, right? And on the shorter term time frames, what do you see? You've got hammer up, right? So that's good. Hammer up and 60 up, they'll get you done, right? So having those multiple time frames up, I can't stress that enough on how you see that. That's going to be really important because what I call it oftentimes is the vortex of the intraday chart. And so, as you've seen, like guys on Twitter or whatever, you'll have people, they never look past the daily chart. Can't see the forest for the trees, all right? You don't know what the real big picture is, and then we can narrow it down. Am I actually trading all day too? Not now. I will do some when it slows down, but I manage my VXX positions and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm too busy, especially as the room continues to get bigger. And that's a good thing for you because I'm not distracted. And as I said in the webinar, one of the most important things that I do is that we all think alike, and then I'm the world's greatest assistant. All I'm doing is searching out for more stuff for you. And I'm objective. You're not going to hear me smashing any keyboards. Right? I can look at something completely objective. And I remember years ago when I was married and I was trying to do things and I wasn't trading and I was all happy about it because I was figuring stuff out. And she's like, well, what about the money? I'm like, it'll come. Don't worry about it. But when you are trying to trade and do analytics at the same time, emotions get in the way. All right? And now because of this strategy, this has this really calms people down. Right? You'll notice you're not going to see a lot of hooting and hollering in here. Everybody's nice and mellow because we know exactly what to do and why it's going to do it. Then I'll do all the hooting and hollering because it's fun. Watching them triangle day out and then go. All right? But as I tell people, man, my job is not to be the rich guy where you sit here and watch me make money. My job is I make you money. Period. And I'm responsible for a lot of people's lives, and I take that very seriously. Makes sense? 60s leads us because most people say the larger time frame is boss. It is, Steve. It is when the 60 goes back and lines up with it, right? But if those longer term time frames are going to get countered, it's going to be the 60. So we want to know about that. And that's why you want to know when I do this, especially if it's like full time frame continuity to the downside, except the 60's green, and then I do this. You want to know about that because one tick down and that thing's back into full time frame continuity to the downside, and you can slam it right then. Right? You can cause that to happen. It's like if that bid gets hit, it goes back into full time frame continuity in 3, 2, 1. Bam. Right? You can do that. With all the different stocks and time frames you call out, I don't know what to get into. Paralysis by analysis. No, I understand that. That's all I wanted to narrow it down and say that you can take sector, a focus sector, or a few stocks that we're talking about that have actionable signals from the nightly video and the weekend video. You can go straight to the gap list and just stay on that no matter what, right? No matter what. and say, you know something, if all I got all day was CDK, I don't care. That's it. All right. If I got my CDK at 69.78 and I make my dollar, that's what I'm going to do. Because sometimes that gap list can really pay. Right? All right. So breaking that down or picking out a few from the nightly video, I'm just going to stick on that. Right? And then as the day goes on, we gain more information. So anytime there's 60s and I say SMH is inside, you can revert back to LRCX and NVIDIA and what have you if you want. Stay with the gap list. That's fine. Right? And if it's a slow day on the gap list, so be it. Right? So be it. Yeah, he's saying 60 no, right? So time frame continuity should not be confusing. When we go from month to smaller time frames, I'll end up inside. Bar becomes somewhere along the way and avoid trading, and we'll wait for breakout. Well, there's actionable signals. There could be hammer counter shooter. There could be a bunch of different things. It's a little more challenging right now because volatility has spiked on using the shorter term time frames. And so for people who weren't in the VTF in the morning, right? Right, look on the long train your mind to see it, exactly. So you just see some of the people that you see what a community we have. We got all these guys don't have to be here, but when we have new friends, everybody's here. You see that? So one of the first things that we did this morning, and this is also can be gap-like for the people who weren't with us today. The first thing we want to see on a gap up like this is anything taking out Friday's lows. Why? Because you got what you wanted. If you were long something and the market gapped up like this and your stock starts taking out Friday's lows, you're bombing, right? And so that's why we went immediately after STMP. Pow. And they smashed them right away. Now, they took care of business in the first hour, and that was it. But these guys were in trouble right away. Right away. Oh, it's a gap up. This thing starts falling apart. These guys were scrambling for their lives. All right? Okay. Okay, and depending on what's going on, no, you don't have to wait for the cash opening, depending on what it's doing. No, not at all. Like I said, because I'm so busy, if I had to watch every overnight and everything, I'd never sleep. That's why I just have to focus on the cash. But no, certainly you can go after it anytime, day or night. Is it a line open strat? You bet. You bet you can. You don't have to wait for me. You don't even have to wait for my gap list. You can just sit there and watch CNBC or whatever you do. Something's moving. Pull them up. Pull up the chart. You don't got to wait for me. I'm just that slacker who doesn't come in until I'm just your slacker assistant. But you can do it. Once you understand it, you can go after anything. Mm-hmm. Okay, so in the course, I talk about drawing the triangles, and it's not so much that you really have to do that. I'm not going into any higher highs or any lower lows, right? Is really what you want to know. So the easiest way to try and find triangles, like I said in the course, you go start at the monthly. Do you see any outside bars? That's a triangle. This right here. This. Triangle the out. Now we can get, right? Get a weekly. Okay. Outside bar. Try. 3-2. Puker. And so basically any higher highs or lower lows. But what you want to remember, so here's a little bit that makes it a little challenging for people. So if we go back to the SPY and we go to SPY 60. All right. Most people, when they look at their charts, would never see this as an important high. Never. They just see this series of puking, right? But the reason it is because we made a low, right? So anytime we made a higher high, this is a sub triangle, lower low, sub triangle. But once we took that out, closed, right? Whenever we close, so whenever something closes, you can go back to the next lower high. So you're going to go nuts if you always try and think in those terms. Like right here, when that closed there, that's try. Then couldn't get through the try, then but still going two. Gets to the triangle on two, and you could redraw it off of that. Then it goes in here, goes two, redraw it off there. Then it goes inside on the 60, one, down. Now we know that's the try here, right? And then when it starts puking like this, like I said, once it takes out this, you could draw it off there. You'll go nuts, but we just want to know, am I coming back through ranges or not? Yeah, I understand that. Triangles, and that's why you make it the easiest part is looking for previous ranges. Am I coming through anything? Do I have anything to go against? Right? Or am I going into new lows? So we know that when we took this out, anytime you're coming down here, you're at exhaustion risk. You're at triangle risk because you're going into a lower low. Right? And they will triangle they out. That we do know. And when they start coming back down here, we're looking at this. These guys and these guys and these guys because we're coming back to a previous range. And hey, Jacqueline, stocks in play and that stuff down there, that's a T3 thing. It's not a quant edge thing. So all we're using that for is to find more things that are moving. Like if I don't see if there's something in there that I'm not talking about, go take a look at it. Failed two, Ulta, Ulta, right out the chute. So what you can do like on Ulta on the opening with 4-man, I think you got a 5er, but I'm not sure. Here. So here, right out the chute, goes inside 5, right? Successful 3, and this is what I talk about, looking for the combination. Successful outside 3-star, kicks into 3-2, right? Below 219.59, right? And the daily gets back into the range at 220.44 and goes red off of the opening at 219.97 and gets destroyed, right? So any failed breakout like that, you can look at the time frame continuity, you're going to look at the sub-actionable signals, or you can just take it right out there and pound it when it gets back in with a 1-cent stop or when it takes that red for the potential 3. But ideally, we're always looking for combinations. Fast moves come from failed moves. You got it. That's the triangles right there. Oops. Oops. Right. And that's the triangle. That's the whole basics of the triangle. Try one side, try the other. All right? That's how price discovery works. And if you're just a little Lilliputian and tried to move the stock and the big boys show up, like, I think not. I think Ulta's a buy. Do you? Bam! Sell me another 200,000 at the market. And that's why rev strats are failed moves. So, and that's rev strats are failed moves. That's why they should just go. We got that guy to agree to fight us in the alley. We're all my buddies are hiding behind the dumpster. All right, it's over. Because most importantly, I want you to just see it. Just as I'm playing out, like, don't worry about, trying to catch it during the day right away when I talk about saying that took the 60 or whatever. Take a look at it. Just take a look at it. So it starts getting into your brain what a winner looks like. And then you'll see it over and over and over again. And then you will drool when the triangle goes ringing. It's time now. And once again, another thing you'll see people do during the day. Rob, where's the triangle in this? I'll draw it for you. And then just copy it. I'm pretty good at it. You watch any market internals during the day? Basically, what I'm watching is are we seeing sector rotation? Because basically, I'm gonna see the internals for what they really are. Because I don't know if you've seen my setup. I have 16 27-inch monitors. I got a 15-foot wall of screens. So for me, I'm seeing pretty much everything that's going on, especially from our standpoint. And the VIX, oh yeah, we're watching the VIX. We're watching everything we possibly can. Yeah, I'm not watching ticks and the reason I don't have to do that is because what I was saying before, I can see on my scan if there's no inside 60s, that tick just got blown out. I know that, right? Because there's no actionable signals left. So it's just a different way of looking at it that I can tell what's going on. So once you start blowing out actionable signals, then you're going to get the mellowing out and all that kind of stuff. So on Ulta here, well, this is an outside bar, so it's shorter. I'll show you the bigger one. Listen. Hey, dude, do you remember when I texted you? So this is a good example of watching the triangles play out because up into here. So in the course, I talk about looking back and seeing previous outside bars or former triangles and getting back into them is important. So my buddy, the dude there, I was chatting with one day, and I was like, I think this Ulta is going to be interesting up in here because you got this outside bar, right? If you get back into that and can puke it through here, that tags this one. You're back into this triangle here. And if you get into that one, it tags this one here. And then you're back into this one here and pukes them all the way down into the lows, which it did. All right? And you got back into this one and all that kind of stuff. So, yes, I did say that before it happened, but I don't say I made calls. I just said, you might want to take a look at this one. And so here, I'm sorry, the new try here on the monthly, you're going to see a new series, right? So they triangle these guys out. They're gone. Right down into here. Then they're gone. Okay, let's take it back up. Let's take it back up. And then you can go back to this because it's lower than that, right? So here's your try. It's higher highs, lower lows. Comes down to the lower lows, now the higher highs. Now you got a sub-triangle in here. Got slight lower lows in here. Go to the daily, you're going to see this. Outside day, there's your fractal try. Go to the 60-minute, you're going to see this. Actually comes off of this stuff. Outside bar too. Higher or lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high, back to the lower low. Well, hold on, let me get my pointer. So when the triangle's too tight, you killed. Lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low. Ow. Longer term entries, well, yeah, it's a little bit different of a ballgame than we had for 8 years now. You know, now we're rock'em sock'em a little bit. But if we can get the bottom of the triangle, that's how you can get the bigger moves when you know you're on the bottom of the triangle and when that occurs, because when the new month comes, all that kind of stuff, and the new week reconfirms it and you're coming off the bottom of the triangle, a full time frame continuity to the upside, that's when you start going after all the pivots on the upside, or the other way around, as the case may be in February. Yeah, don't go overwhelmed. I don't want you to get overwhelmed. I want you to see the same thing over and over and over again. I think it was Bruce Lee that said, "I'd rather fight a guy." I'd rather fight a guy that I wouldn't. I'd rather fight a guy that knows 1,000 moves than a guy that's trained the same move 1,000 times. Right? Something like that. Know what I'm saying? To be the master of one thing and be unstoppable. And also, like not just inside bars. There's like I said, the combinations, right? When we get those combinations going, and right now they're because of February messing things a little bit. When the longer term rev strats and stuff set up, you can go after them for almost ever. it's a thing of beauty. Right. There you go. That be that guy. Be the guy that Bruce Lee is feared. Fears. Let me get some water here. Because for anybody who's been in the room for at least a few days, you can see me calling directly to people, and you can see me talking to people that I know got certain setups. I know for sure they did. I know exactly what they're looking at, right? And that's why it helps when you talk to me. Shop, sure. So Shoppy. So Shop going to be upper level try, right? So we like Shoppy because Shoppy's one of them ones that have them chance at full time frame continuity upside if they really want to stick it to them. All right. So Shoppy, slight lower low, Rev Strat month. So here, for new people, this is Rev Strat month last month. Ripper. Get. Uh-huh. Momo Hammer. Get. Okay, so on the daily, they triangle them up, but good in here. So here was the original daily back in here. Higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, inside day, come back up, triangle day out, go up, outside, triangle day out, move back up, right? So in this case, you've got the slight higher highs here, and you'd go back from here because you got the lower low, the higher high, then the lower low. Then you'd go sub triangle because this is a higher triangle than that, right? Rev Strat 122 reversal day per the weekend vid. Now you just take out these guys, and so here's 128.68, 128.95. So the sub try comes into here. Like that, the sub try. Now you'd have to go after, I'm sorry, these guys. So the question is, can you be strong enough to go and take that up into there? Yes, that's perfect. Does I has a rev strat and make sure, and then look at all the time frames and see if there's anything else that's going to give us a little more juice. Because it's also important when that occurs, right? I might say go get her immediately. I might say wait 5 minutes, see if it goes inside because you're going to have a flip and you can have some other advantage. And that's how we work together. Who takes out the stops? We take out the stops. We do. And it's not just a matter of taking out stops. It's a matter of also causing people that need to buy stock to be more aggressive. So even if there's not exactly a bunch of stops on the highs or the lows, is irrelevant when we have full time frame continuity, because when you have full time frame continuity, we have the assistance of everybody else. Everybody else is going the same way. And so if you pile in there, right, that makes them have to pay higher, right, because everybody's trying to buy it. And that's when you can get the nice measured move, because if I'm what I call institutional Sasquatches, if I got to buy a ton of stock, I do not want anybody else in there buying it with me, right? That don't make me happy. If I got 500,000 shares to buy, and I got a bunch of you pikers in there in front of me, that's not making me happy at all. Right? Which we can assume there is when we have full time frame continuity upside. So the important thing too is to understand all this, why it works, and that's part of understanding that it's not just take my word for it. This is what's happening to the price, right? This is as in these conditions. This is what we know to be true. The level of aggression is high on every time frame. Higher, and by high I mean when people say, "Oh, more buyers and sellers." No, that's not why something goes up. The buyers are more aggressive than the sellers. They're taking offers. They're not sitting on the bid. They're taking the offer. Right? That's what's happening. And so when you have 4 separate time frames doing that, that's a good thing. Make sense? And yeah, it's like, and I don't want y'all to go nuts on, because I know the triangles are always going to be the hardest. Don't worry about it, right? Over time, that's all you're going to see. Making sense so far? Make sure everybody's at least certainly a little bit more up to speed. Good, good. Because during the day, the setups happen so often, right? That's the great thing about it. Little by little, that's fine, right? Little by little, just keep seeing it. And even at night, when you want to go through anything, just start doing the count. What is that? 1, 2, 2, 3, 2. You'll see it. A rough strat is a failed 2, correct? Yep, definitely. You are correct, sir. Has to be. Took out one side and coming back through. And so in the case of, so it either does the outside Ulta 1 bar puker, the 1 bar outside failed, that's a failed 2 turns 3, or it does the nectar, the 1 2 2 reversal. So it's so it's really not a failed 2. Well, it is a failed 2 on the hammer when it comes back in here, but in this case, yes, it's failed 2 because it came back in here. 1 2 2. Speed of recognition. Yeah, it's just going to come. Like you can't start seeing this right away, but the more you do, it's in your face all the time. That's all. And there will be certain days and certain weeks that have juicier setups that you'll see. Yeah, in this case, oh, I'm not letting this baby come back in here. Yeah, no. If I took that 1 2 down, right? And one of the important things to also remember when you want to be RevStrat master. Good, good. When you want to be RevStrat master, is that what's the objective? The objective is once we take that to take that, right? Now maybe it gets worse and takes all these guys out. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But if you're only trading like intraday or short-term rev strats, as soon as it takes out that, you stop it right there and just take the profit. Because if you're right on this inside bar break, if it comes back in rev strats, you can use the money to go back the other way. So understanding what the objective is, because some people say it didn't work. I'm like, no, it worked. It just hit the objective, and the objective wasn't that big. There wasn't much there. Yes, correct. It did what it was supposed to do. Stop map. Stop map. There you go. Be the rev strat maestro. Because you know what you're going to find out? Life has a lot of rev strats to it. So here, and you can even just come off of here and say this is the spike out up. Both sides of this thing. Take them out, take them out. All right. Yeah. Life's got a lot of them. Thought I was on top of the world. Yeah. Life is one big series of triangles, too. That's the great thing about it. That's why it shouldn't be too hard to pick up. 1 minute you're on top of the world, one phone call, it's all over. Okay, because we go to the monthly. So this thing is just gangbusters. So people say, there ain't no triangle in there when it does that. Yeah, there's a bunch of little ones. It's just a very aggressive breakout. They'll be in there. All right. There you go. Triangle day out. Boom. Think it's going down, do you? Failed 2-3 in the weaker. They spike them up. Triangle day all out. Nobody's left in here. There's no shorts left ever. Now we can buy the pullback, can you? Take them out. Reverse what I used to do. The thing is, doing trading the opposite thing. People used to say that to me. If you trade the opposite, that you still lose. Otherwise, you could just build a program that loses at trading and tell it to do the opposite and make money. The opposite is actually not trading. I had to learn that from a programmer. Otherwise, we just automate all my losers. Well, this is a daily, so yeah. As the day goes on, higher time frames. Oh yeah, see what's going on because we want to see if we're still inside on stuff. Yeah, 60 rev strats would be great. 60 rev strats, sure, especially on the opening if you can do it fast enough. Yeah, the rev strat. Oh, I'm sorry, rev strat. Getting in on here, yeah, I'd be looking for a shorter term time frame to do it. So this was 76.26. So here on this 60, when it went 2 on there is where it took it, right? $30, 76.26. So then it comes down to here, goes back to 27, right? And then goes 2-2. You can go in here because it's above it. You can go 30 up in anticipation of it taking it out. Last hour of the previous day, yeah. And that's why you can look at all the inside 60s at night and then come in here, have your alert take one side out, right? And then go boom as soon as it gets right back in. So if you're going to trade some of that hot stuff, you're going to want to have hot keys because you're not going to point and click and then put in your stop. Hot keys. F2, take the offer, stop 1 cent below the bid. F3 the other way around, or F4. F10 panic button, sell everything. Get me out of this stuff. All that kind of stuff. Just don't hit the wrong button. No, that's a 2. You're trading a 2. Yeah, you're trading a 2. You just can't let it get back into that range. You get killed. So you're trading this. You're right, because if we can once again, we can define what other people are using as obscure or subjective. We don't have to be subjective. 1 is consolidating. 2 is trending. 3 is reversing. Failed 2 is potential reverse, right? False breakout 3. Yeah. Channel. I'll give you a channel. So what do you want me to do on this chart here? So yeah, Tim. So that's one of the things we want to do is like also the way you can do that too is like the 222 reversal stuff, right? If it was above today, yesterday's opening today, and then tomorrow it takes out yesterday's lows, and then goes back up and takes out the other day's highs, the 222, right? That means people are getting chopped up. They'll never touch that thing again, but then it's time. The monthly, I'm sorry, on the Nectar, weekly. So basically what I would tell you is that I could draw a series of really tighter triangles on the shorter term stuff, right? Triangle the out, triangle the out. So I could draw here, higher highs. You're going to love this. Triangle becomes support. Triangle becomes support, remains support. I didn't want to get into all this stuff, but so once they get out, support, couldn't get back in, couldn't back in. Don't want to confuse them right away. There's more to it. Well, what you're going to see is how uncanny the triangles really are. I just want you to see it for what they are without that. Lawrence, it depends on how far it's traveled to go to. I don't want to put it all the way down. I want to use a shorter term time frame to do that when something gets out of the two. And like if it's a shorter term time frame already, like a 5 or a 3, and it goes 2, and you take that, yeah, you can do it on that. Is which part, Ramesh? Triangles? Today's video. This triangle, isn't it? I got the spot triangle in there for you, though. And I'll point that out during the day all day long. That's 60 try. Oh, will this video be posted somewhere? Oh, yeah. I'm recording right this. Yeah, this is going to be in the coaching session. Quantedge video coaching portal. With many others. We got to do it every Thursday. So you can listen to me to the end of time. Every night with a teddy bear before going to sleep. A little coaching session. And jammies with the flap on the back. And foot feeties. With the triangle wallpaper. Which is actually just a white wall. But that's what you're going to see eventually anyway. Yes, on the 60 butterfly, yeah. And like I said, you want to look for a combination. Once you see that 60 setting up, what do the guts look like? The 6, the 30, the 15, the 5ers? Because like I said in this Nectar, once that thing started going here, if that 30 works, it goes rev strat, and then I don't have to worry about the noise up in there when it takes it out. I'm already in. And then I can wait for them to break through, triangle they out, and then come in from here instead of going straight into the rev strat buy. Right? Because that's close to getting stopped out. Not everybody might get back in what you wanted to do here. Right there. So that helps you with your ad. And being like, all right, I'm already in. It goes up in here, it triggers it. And be like, I'm not going straight into the highs. I want to wait for this thing to triangle it out. Give me the 2, 2, 2 reversal, and I'll go in here. Because that I know that they have taken, that I know I'm coming off a triangle. And my objective is this, at least. And I've got the daily behind me now. Yeah, tricking the 30. Oh, yeah. All combinations. As much as we can. Yeah, add. Brian says this is where we load the boat more. We'll get to that. Right now, I just want you to see it. No, you don't have to because you got in down here. Yeah, you got in down here. You just let them play out. All right? And if it keeps rocking, you're already long. That's fine. But once they try they out, right? Because you can consider after that, this thing goes 2, 2, 2 and starts taking that out, you can take profits off that. because you'd be back into the range. But once it starts going back in here, bam. How do I know it won't keep going down here at this point? I don't. But I'm not afraid to give back some profits. That doesn't bother me. Because if it does go 2-2, we're going to get more of it right here. But the reason people don't like to do that, because they don't know why things go up or down. We do. Right? That's why you have to schnitzel some, and all that kind of stuff. Because I have no idea why things go up or down. Right? We know the rev strat just kicked in. Right? And if we get another signal, we're going to keep revving it to them. Ow. And so that gets to the point, too, of eventually you want to look down the road of what things create. So here's you're going to like this one. So down in here, inside, outside, 1-3. If this works, it goes up and creates the hammer. You're already in. If you want to swing that, you're already in from down there. Because it's an inside bar. Dude, ask Dude about these. The Hopesicle Rev Stratter. But it's inside and down. He's like, if this works, that creates the Rev Strat. And you're already in. Then add. Then it actually does Rev Strat. Add again. Right? Yeah. Tee-hee. Yeah, because that goes 3-2 the other way. They got him, but good. That's a fractal triangle. Yeah, I'm good down there. Everybody out of the pool below here. Okay, are you guys all gone? Yeah. Okay. I told you, once you understand this stuff, you're going to laugh. A 3-1? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. It might be the pause before really sticking it to them. They took out both sides, then mellowed out for a second. Said, here we go. Yeah, Nikolai, yeah, exactly. You can ask me. That's what I'm here for. All day long. What does I do and where does I put the stop? Right there. Right there. When do I do it? 3, 2, now! Bam! Just don't be afraid of getting stopped out, because you will. But the thing is, when you keep seeing these things in these terms, this is how you're going to catch the bigger moves. As the triangle groweth. And we meet every Thursday. So, like I said, during the day when I'm hardly get a sentence out without calling something out. If you took on the daily, yeah. If you took that daily down, you met your objective. Like I said, once you're really good at this, you took that, you got it. You got them out, and you got them out. So you met your objective. You can hang around to see if the 30 down pukes them. But then once it goes 30 outside, then you can reverse and get long. Because you're already playing with their money already. Tee-hee. What do you know, Hayes? And then it goes 2 on the 60. Thank you. Thank you, sir. And, not everybody's going to do this because it's over the weekend stuff, but the thing about it is when you go down in here, it's Friday. It's Friday. Okay, everybody out of the pool on Friday. You guys dump all you're going to dump? Yeah. Then you come in on Monday and you got Rev Strat day and the week is green. Tee. Okay. Do a session on the rigging and manipulation of the markets? You mean fess up and go to jail? It's irrelevant, you know. I mean, it's irrelevant because everything's going to trade this way. So if you start, going nuts about, oh, this is blah 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 or whatever, central banks or whatever, you don't have to do that. They're our friends, a la time frame continuity, right? Set up down to the 5 round. Let's see what LRCX did today. What'd that do on the 5? You know what I mean? Yeah. So you're going to see end of the day, they did a lot of triangle day out. I can stay long. Can you? No. Bam, 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 bam. Right? But so, see, that's 60. Let's see if there's anything on the 30. So this was actually a 60, I think. Let me see here. Yes. These two were a 60, right? Because they were inside these two 30s right here. So this is how you see the sideways 60, right? We know that's a 60. Here's how you use the guts. When I was talking about using the guts, here's your inside 60, right? Instead of just taking that 60 break, as soon as that flip comes up, if you're looking at the 30, I'm taking the 2-2 hammer right here. I'm going to trigger these guys who are going to trigger my 60 for me right here. Can you dig it? I do what you could. What I do on the 15er. Slight lower low, so that was 2-2 here above that. That's 170.74. Right? So 170.74 triggers the 30 hammer at 170.92, which then triggers the 60 at 171.31. Buy, triple long. Doom, boom, boom. Thank you. With a money. We's now triple long in a heartbeat, right? You could stop it all even, right? You could stop it all even. Or you could stop it if you triple bought it, you could stop the whole thing off the top buy, right? The 30, when this gets taken out, the low of the 30 that broke it, right here. And then so long as that 60 stays green and doesn't come back in on me, we can hang with it, and then we'll talk. Once we got a flip coming, then we'll talk what we want to do. As we come into the end of the day and get triangled out down into here, all right? It's 15 here, 2, 1, buy more off the 15er, 2. Then you could go 2 down here and get out of that, or all if you wanted instead of had enough. Just let it ride on. A lot of stuff depends on, your risk tolerance and how much you're going to do, and that's why I say it eventually gets more customized to, what type of a trader you are and all that kind of stuff. And so that's why I like the emails from people. The more I get to know you, see what you're doing, and if you're fine, that's fine. Here's the last thing I want you to do. Is never say a word in the VTF and then email me and say goodbye. Don't do that to me. All right? I got to know what's going on. If you're not saying anything, I'm expecting you to be doing well. Because I will work with you. Trust me. Ask anybody who has worked with me that has struggled on how much I will do to make sure you're successful. But I can't read your mind while manipulating the market at the same time. Oh, some of these setups may seem like we are doing that. But Chris, really, I like to have the tight defense because when things are really moving, these things really go, right? When the strats, as Brian say, strat cruising. When we're strat cruising, we got the ones that ain't coming back for the day. They ain't coming back. How much you got to buy? Right? And you'll see it. Because one of the great things about trading this, one of the great things, like, on CNBC in the morning when they have their little music of percentage gainers and losers in the on the in the S&P, those are all our stocks. As long as they didn't gap, those are the ones we're going after. Then you get to see that, as opposed to, don't you really hate when you're short and getting killed and you're like, new highs on Wall Street, everybody's happy, and you're like, you want to just break the TV? They're always talking about what our biggest winners because we're trading directionally. How do I scan for setups? I have TC2000 as well as just going through the charts. So when you hear me going around the horn, I'm looking at hundreds of charts when I say going around the horn. And I'm scanning TC2000 at the same time. Here, right here, when trying 2-2 down, yeah. If you didn't add from here, you could muscle that out. So long as the 60's still green. So long as the 60's still green, you can muscle that out. Saying profit takey bastage, you're going to go 2-2 right back up. And then you just run out of time. This was position squaring time. When I say position squaring time, that's what you want to know about. End of the day, tighten up these stoppies. And you can, if you were fortunate, you got out right at the highs. I don't use FinViz, but anything's fine. Anything you want to help me with. I used to use that. I think that's pretty good. Oh, this thing, hammer time, and then shows hammer shooter come back in. And then chop them up, then inside 15. Yeah. And like I said, we were gaining at the beginning. It's Monday. We don't have that much evidence. But what we did have here, and that's why it was a big difference to wait it into here. Get your 60 or get your 60 here, because 60 here, then you had SMH, semiconductors, right? SMH, and you had the SPY and everybody going inside when I'm ringing the bell. That's why I do that. Right now we got a little more power. Now we're going to have futures help, and everybody's going to equilibrium, and they're all breaking at the same time. Remember when that happened? Yeah, that's a little different, as opposed to getting chopped up on a Monday morning on a 15 hammer, right? That's how we timed that, and, and that's why I did that. Because we weren't sure just yet. It's like, yeah, but I'm up. Suspect. Collecting the information. Right. Now, sometimes you do get a simultaneous break right at the chute on a Monday. I mean, technically, a lot of this was hammer up, but countering some pretty serious monthly stuff, and, you know. All right. Well, I think we're about an hour and a half. I think. Oh yeah, I'll give you my email so you can stay in touch, and my pleasure, because we're going to do this again on Thursday. And so sometimes, if we feel like it, we can go 4 hours, stuff like that. We've done that before. I just don't want it to be too overwhelming when somebody who's not here has to go. And, so we can compartmentalize it a little bit. And so, yeah, so that's good. And like I said, I wanted to just touch base with all the new people, because I don't like people piling in here and having a tough time and stuff like that. So, welcome all the new folks. And as you can see, we've got a great community that's hung out here to also help. So, we will see you bright and early in the morning. All right.